What's good, everybody? It's Big Game James. Streets, man. We in the streets. We in these streets. We stay in these streets. Ooh, we in these work streets today. And guess what? We talking about these cornerback streets yesterday. You know, I talked about the offensive linemen, the big three, how I'm excited about that with Tyler Booker, Tyler Smith, and Cooper Beebe. Excited about that front. Yesterday, I talked about the defensive tackles, specifically Mozzie Smith, how he's really got to step up in year 3 or he just going to be a guy. I'm very excited about Jay Teoa. I hope he can really step his game up. It's going to be a lot for a rookie defensive tackle, but I love Togans, Samoans. I love that. Today, I'm talking about cornerback, specifically Trevon Diggs, and on the side, DaRon Bland, but particularly Trevon Diggs. Now, there's a guy named Pretty Ricky's all on Twitter, you know, come out there, make all these predictions and what's going to happen, and he said Trevon Diggs was going to get released before March 17th. Obviously, that didn't happen. So before you look at this, before my video starts, you're going to see a detailed thing on Trevon Diggs. Please pause it, read it, because it has a lot of specific things that I feel like this is probably the end for Trevon Diggs, in my opinion, and this is the reasons why. Number one, you know, first of all, when Trevon Diggs came out in 2020, I love Trevon Diggs, okay? I made a video about him. I said he was going to be a star in the system with Al Harris, which he was initially. I gave a scouting, I did a video on him, a scouting report video on him, and I feel like, you know, when I played football, I played receiver and cornerback. Cornerback was the position I loved because I loved one-on-one. I had long arms. Obviously, I'm lengthy. I'm about 6'1", I have long arms, good athletic ability, hips. You know, I can play the cornerback position good, so I have a keen interest in it. So when I gave that breakdown to Trevon Diggs, I thought it was pretty spot on. And then I went and looked at my guy, Lance Zierlein. I hope I'm saying that last name right, because to me, he's like, I follow anybody, I follow him. I don't follow nobody else. He's my main guy as far as the draft. I follow because I'm trying to tell you, dog, go to NFL.com, Lance Zierlein. He is spot on what his things are. His projection for Diggs was spot on, second round. His prediction for Kaiir Elam, who they just traded for, first round, spot on. He had a prediction for DaRon Bland. He said a priority free agent. He went in the 5th. So that's what I want to talk about at the end. But I want you to read the scouting report, the weaknesses he gave on Trevon Diggs. They were spot on. A little grabby, doesn't have long speed. That was his biggest thing. Short area speed and his physicality, his long arms, that's where he will be good. But his problem is not physical and tackling. That was his biggest thing I said I did not like when he was coming out of Alabama, and his long speed. Those two weaknesses I said were going to be huge coming into the NFL. And those were. Even when he had his career year with 11 interceptions, gave up a lot of yardage because you can really work him. The longer he has to go in that coverage or double moves, the longer he has to stay in coverage, the longer it's going to be bad for him. So I'm not dissing Trevon Diggs or anything like that, but what I'm saying is I just don't think he's going to be back. Now, here's the thing. March 17th, his $9 million salary was guaranteed after March 17th. Now, if he is cut before June 1st, Dallas owes him that $9 million salary. All right. If they cut him after June 1st, which I don't think they're going to do, it could happen though. But if they cut him after June 1st, then basically they don't owe him that salary. They'll go save, like I believe, don't quote me, like I believe they'll like say $5 million. They'll save some money and you know, for the cut in salary. It won't be huge, and they'll just be on the hook for the remaining of his guaranteed money if they cut him after June 1st. So you already heard Jerry Jones this year come out and say, hey, if Trevon Diggs attacks his new surgery, he'll be able to come back. He already learned his lesson that when you don't attack your rehab your first time, another injury can happen. So basically, what we were talking about on Burgers and Blitzes, specifically Mike White was saying this after he got hurt in 2023. He said that word in the street that Diggs was not going hard in the rehab, and they were not liking it. And he was saying that way before. People were really coming at him and saying, whatever, you just hate. Nah, Mike was right on that. The word, they did not like his rehab. They did not like his work ethic with his rehab on his ACL injury that happened in 2023. Then he happens to get hurt again in the same knee. Now, this new injury is called chondral bone. Is a chondral bone tissue or chondral bone graft. It's in there, so you'll be able to look. But basically, when they talk about this injury, it's worse than the ACL. Doesn't have anything to do with the ACL injury, but this is going to take a lot longer as far as the rehab. Considerable work and a lot longer. So it could be October, maybe November when you see Trevon Diggs. You got Deron. Here's where Deron Bland comes in, and the draft picks and the trade. So you got Deron Bland, who's in the last year of his deal, 5th round pick, great find. You saw he set the record at 8 interceptions, set the record for most interceptions returned back for touchdowns, all pro. We saw it. He had the injury last year. Obviously, he didn't play to the form he played in 2023. We get that. But we like Deron Bland. But I've said numerous times, don't pay Deron Bland that big money because he has holes in his game. Holes in his game. You've seen Derek Stingley Jr., I believe, just got paid. J.C. Horn just got paid. And they say Deron's market value right now is $23 million. And Sauce Gardner's contracts get ready to come up too. So that cornerback market is going higher and higher. Now, you heard Stephen Jones and them saying about Jake Ferguson and Deron Bland. They're allowing them to play out their years, which is smart. I wouldn't lock up Bland neither at this time because I need to see one more year of Bland. I feel like there are holes in his games, and you see them. He has good speed, 4.4, but it's long. He has problems overall in his game. He's a physical corner, but you can work Deron Bland. Top end, high end receivers give him major issues. I think he's a good cornerback. Elite. The elites of the elites, the $23 million, I don't know about that. And that's why I said buyer beware on that. Buyer beware on that. I'm real. But if you have Trevon Diggs and Deron Bland, you can't pay both of them. And that's why I think the Cowboys are playing this year out. And that's why they drafted Sharon Revel. They traded for Kyer Elam, former first rounder, who I like his potential. Not the greatest tackler. That was his knock on Trevon Diggs. I don't like that. But if you're playing in Eberflus system, you're going to have to tackle, right? I love Josh Butler. Love what he was doing. I'm so mad he got hurt. He's coming back from an ACL injury too, and his was later. So his return might be even later, but I like his potential. Then you got Kalen Carson, who was your 5th round a year before. He had the shoulder injury, but he should be back. They picked up Troy Pride. That's just a body. But mainly this. Sharon Revel they said he should be ready by camp. He was a 1st rounder, dropped to the 3rd. They got great value in him. I'm going to keep it real. Cowboys are going to let this play out between this contract with Bland this year, and they're going to see what he does this year. He's going to have one of them crazy type years like he had in 2023, in my opinion, to get that big number contract. If he just has an average season, I think the Cowboys are willing to pay you. I think they are willing to pay him because I think they want to keep Bland, but not at a crazy number. I think that's why they're waiting for this year to play out. But in my opinion, this is the last year you're going to see a Trevon Diggs. I just feel like they're not going to keep 2 high-priced cornerbacks on the roster knowing you got Revel and you just traded for Kyer Elam and you have somebody else. So they're not keeping 2. Now, and you had the knee injury twice, knee surgery twice. And the second one, you're getting a graft on the knee. That ain't good. I listened to Mike White. He said that knee might be shot. He don't know if he's going to play again. Now, I could see where you could see a Trevon Diggs transferring to a safety because those skill set that he has could be better for a safety because of his ball skills. But is that knee good enough to play? And when I heard Jerry Jones come out and say, he didn't attack it like we wanted and we didn't like that, so he's going to have to come back harder, and this is going to be longer now. I feel like that's signaling the end for Trevon Diggs. Now, I don't know if he'll be a post-June 1 cut because of the uncertainty to injuries, because I believe if a Revel was healthy, You might see him be a post June 1 cut if Revel was healthy now. But I think because that uncertainty and they feel like he's going to be ready, Revel, I don't know if that's why they try to hold on Diggs and see what happens this year and, see how it goes. But I feel like this is last year. I feel like they roll with Bland. Revel becomes that other corner. Kyrie Elam, that's the new 3-corner set. You got Josh Butler in the wings. Kayleen Carson, that's 5 right there. And then you maybe have some other guys. But I really don't think you're going to see Trevon Diggs on this roster any longer. And to this year, I don't think he's a June 1st cut, but don't be surprised if it doesn't happen. This is just all my opinion from what I'm seeing, especially if Revel comes in hitting the ground running and he's ready for camp and he really shows. I think that makes it easier decision for them to cut, and then they use whatever money he has and funnel it toward Bland because they still have money available. The Cowboys are going to wait. They're not going to sign him. They're going to wait till the whole year to mess with Bland. So obviously, if he does really well, his number is going to go up. Now you have Revel. You're not paying 2. You're not paying Diggs and Bland, especially if he has another breakout season. Trevon Diggs is going to be gone. So in my opinion, this is the last you're going to see of Trevon Diggs with the Dallas Cowboys. I hate to see it because I really loved his potential. We saw when he came in 2020, and then he had the record-setting year in 2021. But ever since then, it's been downhill, and I don't know where it comes back. Give me your thoughts. You think Trevon Diggs is going to stay with the team? You think he has a long-term future with the Dallas Cowboys? And do you think they signed DaRon Bland to this mega deal? Y'all let me know in the comments. I think they signed Bland, but they don't sign him to a big deal, kind of like a deal that Osa Ogadazua got. Team-friendly, good money, but a team-friendly deal. And then I feel like this is the last you see of Trevon Diggs. I don't know if he's a June 1st cut, but don't be surprised. But this is going to be his last year, in my opinion, with the Dallas Cowboys. Let me know your thoughts. Big Game James, I'm out. Peace.